Uh, good day, everyone. I'm Oshin Bailey. I'm the co-founder of the Jamaican Developers Group and the Docker community leader for Jamaica. So I'll be the one that will run through all of the workshop materials today. Please note it will be a hands-on workshop. So if you don't have Git installed, you will be most likely you will be installing it today, and we'll just work with each other to actually do some code changes and pushes to GitHub. For those who are not interested in installing Git or don't have it as yet, you can always use GitHub editor to make changes to the code. So later on in the demo and the workshop, we'll talk more about that section. So to give a bit about Jamaican developers, we are a community of tech enthusiasts in Jamaica that aim to grow and market development skills of Jamaican with a community of highly proficient technical officers and companies. Of course, we've been doing quite a number of training, and we have quite a number of members from various platforms, which includes our own website, JamaicanDevelopers.com, meetup.com, the dockerevents.com website, and there are other platforms that we utilize to, share knowledge and invite others for, these type of training sessions. Of course, we are aiming to do more training because our aim is basically to, help Jamaican developers to, stay on top of the curve, the tech curve and trends, knowing the inside and out when it comes to technology and the best practices, techniques, and so forth to use. Of course, one of the building blocks of any good development strategy or life cycle is definitely a version control system. And Git is basically one of those tools that should be used by majority of the developers. So there are other version control tools out there on the market. Well, not necessarily some market, but in the public, like Mercury and BSC. But the most popular version control system right now is Git, and it's been so since it came out early in the 2000s and early 90s. But we'll focus on, okay, you getting to know Git, working together as a group to develop, a Jekyll project, and looking over some of the basic workflows using Git. Well, I kind of jumped in the agenda in the previous slide, but we're going to also talk about open source, and as a part of the development world or tech world, open source technology is one of the big topic. That's where majority of the software that we use today actually the foundation was actually wrote. So, like for example, Node.js is an open source software. NPM, all of the packages, Node.js packages, PHP package, and so forth. Majority of those are open source technology and source code. We'll talk about open source later on. And of course, even though I went ahead and said Git is a version control, there's still there's a still definition that we need to form for especially anyone that is new to Git or just getting around to start this journey on becoming a very versatile developer using the different workflows with Git. And of course, as mentioned before, we'll be setting up Git for those who not a step-by-step setup with Git, but I'll show you the basic how to set up Git. Afterwards, we'll do some basic Git command for local development, go into the workflow, and some basic commands for remove changes which we're going to push to a remote repository, meaning like GitHub or GitLab or some form of online repository. And lastly, we look at some tips and practices with using Git and some underutilized command in Git. Afterwards, it's going to be like lightning talk, which is open up to anyone that's been using Git and would like to share how they use Git. But just for clarity, this initial training is geared towards like basic workflows and methodology of using Git. Some of the commands will be a bit technical, but I won't do a lot of high level command execution with Git because we want to keep it as simple as possible. And then there will be another training sometime next month, which takes you into a more advanced usage of Git with the auto deployment and CI/CD and testing, continuous integration, continuous delivery. All right, so open source. Can anyone here define what open source is? And what do you think open source is? Any takers? Okay, so open source technology or open source software is basically any public available source code that or licensed source code that is free for anyone to reuse, modify, deploy, or even do some form of redistribution. A lot of software, as mentioned before, are open source. Apache is actually an open source software. Same for MySQL, same for VS Code, which is a simple IDE that packs a lot of power. And there's a lot of open source technology that we might be using and don't know that it is open source. Of course, there are popular license with open source because even though everything is said to be free and reusable and should be able to be modified by anyone, there are licenses that actually restrict what can be done with open source technologies, and this is a topic a lot of developers tend not to fully understand, that there are actually licenses that prevent developers to modify and then deploy that piece of software as their own and then redistribute it for sale. So there are like the MIT license, the GPL2 license, Apache license, and a general public license. Each of these have different restriction level, but the most common tend to be MIT and GPL. I will get into that shortly, but we're not going to get into the detail of open source license, mainly because the conversation, this workshop is all geared towards Git. So when it comes on to the capabilities, what you can do, for example, GPL, example of GPL licenses like WordPress, MongoDB, majority of the Node application like Firebase, Node NPM package, those are GPL. And GPL, what it allows you to do is to download, you're allowed to download the code, evaluate the code, even deploy the code as it is, and there's a conditional redistribution. So for commercial usage, you shouldn't redistribute the code, mainly because the code is copyrighted by that open source foundation. For example, WordPress Foundation or WordPress.org. Those are the developers that, well, WordPress.org and Automatic, those are developers that actually write the majority of WordPress core code, as well as, for example, Facebook. Even though React is open source, Facebook is the rightful owner of React.js, and then you have Clone, which is open source software that is copyrighted by the Clone Foundation. But due to the fact that, you know, there are malicious individuals, people will just take the claim and then of a software and then claim that, okay, they are the original developers. There's some need of protection against for the creators of these packages. So this is why there's license on these different open source packages, and the level of security and restriction that they give the owners. So when it comes on to modification now, GPL has a modification criteria, but the modification is whereby if you modify the source code, the modification that you made should fall under the same license that the source code was licensed under. So for example, you modified a core feature of WordPress and then trying to, like for example, WordPress as classic press and some other derivative of WordPress, but all of those based on the GPL, different type of GPL license, all of those are fall under the same GPL license that WordPress fall under. And then you have a less restrictive license like Apache/BSD, which basically allow to modify, evaluate, deploy, redistribute, and everything without, you know, you or any developer facing any form of legal I don't want to say legal attacks, but any form of legal circumstances. If you want to find out more about open source license, you can visit whitesourcesoftware.com, and there's a Wikipedia page that gives a lot of examples of different packages that we use and the open source license that those packages are using. All right. So with open source software, majority of the source code is found on either Git, GitHub, or Bitbucket. And this is where people are free to, you know, do a pull from a repository and just make changes. They can actually clone the repository and create a repository of their own, which maintain a different structure or modification of that code. And if needs be, you can always do a pull request to merge back the changes that, merge the changes that a developer has done to the source code, the original source code for the software or package. Personally, I use Gitlab to host all of my source code, especially when it's a private repository or any form of kind. GitLab has a lot of CI/CD functionality, a lot of project management, task management, and a bunch of features that, it's at the enterprise level. GitHub, however, is like the Git repository to use. It's the most popular of the three that is listed here. Well, it's most popular out of all of the cloud hosting providers for Git. and it's really where open source technology actually bloomed and launched like drastically over the last what 15 years. And I should also point out that Microsoft actually own GitHub now, and a lot of developers, including myself, thought there was going to be a lot of service change with GitHub, but I can honestly admit they've made GitHub better. They've added GitHub sponsor, GitHub actions, and quite a lot of functionality that help us to deploy application and get feedback as soon as possible. They also included an online IDE in the new version of GitHub, sorry, which is quite useful for a lot of developers, which will be a game changer once it comes out of beta mode. And of course, there's Bitbucket. All right, so I've been saying Git so many times. But what Git is really? So Git is a version control tool, and when I mean version control, it basically helps you to track the changes that you made to the source code and different files, and you have the history and all of the changes there as statistical data that you can easily to revert to if you need to basically go back or in words format if you need to undo a change or remove some changes that you committed. It also helps developers to integrate code quite easily from a different individual who worked on the same project. So it helps peer coding quite a lot. Especially in the sense that you're working in a team and everyone is basically working on the said project, or even the said file. How do you manage, which change is useful over another? How do you manage, eh, like what is stable code without even pushing code that is, broken? How do you track all of the changes that you made when it was made? And it will help with code versioning of code, integration of code, and sharing of code within teams, groups, or an individual. Please note, if you're a solo developer, you still can use Git because, as I said, it helps you to track all the changes that you've made. There are times when I actually do solo project by myself and do like just commit directly to master, and I'll get into what I mean by commit directly to master later. So as a solo developer, you might just, make change. You're the only one making change. And at some point, you might introduce a bug or done something that you don't really like and you want to go back to the previous version. This is what Git helps you to basically do and revert, also making the code more deployable and shareable between different systems, whether it's cloud or local systems. And I should also point out that Git has been a game changer in the development world because back in the days before version control or the most popular version control system like Git, what most people would have done is copy and paste folder. So you see like on somebody's computer multiple folders of the same application but different version, and that will just take up a lot of space, take up a lot of management impulses in your brain to say, oh, which one is the latest version, which one is the most stable. And then at times you see someone who like a folder name, or version 1, and when version 1 become like the stable code there to rename that folder or something of the sort. And all of this is chaotic. So Git basically reduces all those pains that developers were facing. Funnily though, quite a lot of individuals, well, not quite a lot, there are a number of individuals that are still using folder-based version control, which is kind of sad for today's world, but at the same time, it's a matter of information and providing that, training and experience for developers, not just in Jamaica, but worldwide, to, know about these technology that is available and how to use it and how it can easily simplify their life and workflow. All right, so with a raise of hand, can anyone indicate if they don't have Git installed? You can use Zoom raise hand feature to indicate, but just in case if you don't, you can go on these two links. Let me copy them and send them in the chat. And these two links will help you install and set up Git. Before I continue, which I probably should have done from the initial point of the workshop, can everyone hear me? I'm not getting any feedback, so I want to make sure that everyone can.
Okay, hear you loud and clear, man.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so if anyone needs to set up Git, you can, for Windows, you can go git-scrum.com/downloads, or if you're on Mac or Windows, you can go to the second link that I sent. All right, so here are some basic commands that we will try out. So the first set of commands are like local development. When you come out to, okay, how do I set up start a new Git project, or track a new project, or even get an existing project from GitHub or some form of resources. So to start a new Git project, or start to track existing project that is not tracked by Git, you use Git init. You can clone our existing repository using Git clone. So let's actually go and do some of these commands. Hold on. Everyone can see my terminal? Let me actually maximize this. All right, so let's just play around with the command line. Hopefully you can see my terminal. If you can't, you just indicate in the chat. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new folder using mdkr, and I'm going to call the folder epop. So make directory epop. Then cd into that folder. That folder is empty, which is a new folder created, which you can see it right here. So I'm going to just say touch readme.com, which creates a new file in that folder. So if I do git status now, I already have git installed, and this is actually the git bash. So if you're on Windows and you do git bash, well, on Windows and install git, you should see two things: git bash or git for Windows, or Git GUI. So the Git GUI is like a GUI, but I'm basically well, a user interface with a window that you can interact with without using the command line. But I'm a command line first individual, so I'll continue to use command line. So we have Git status, and it basically indicate that okay, this is not a Git repository. You need to run Git init. So to do so, you do git init, and you will notice that it said, okay, initialize empty Git repository, and show you the folder location of the Git folder. Finally, if you go inside of Git, you notice there's a config description and some additional stuff like hooks. And hooks is basically like if you do something in Git or run a particular Git command, it will trigger a bash script to do something else. So for example, if you want to sanitize the code by, formatting the code, you can automatically format a code using Git hook. But in another training, I'll go deeper in Git hooks. It's not a part of this training agenda. So if I run git status now, you notice that okay, the readme.com has a .com in it, the .com file. I mean, the folder has a .com file, which is a Git folder, and it's not added. So or tracked by Git. So to track it, I would need to do git add and dot. When you do git add and space dot mean current directory, dot will add all of the files in the current folder, files and subfolders in the current folder to the git head. So if I do git status, you notice that okay, it started to basically track some of these changes that you've made, but it has not been committed. And when I say committed, it's not basically being saved as okay, this is the current state of this file. Save it so that I can actually revert to it or modify it, and it will, if someone else get the source code of that file, it will basically have the state of the last commit that was pushed or shared. And same for instance that if you come back to this repository later, you can always revert or make changes, and it will tell you the changes that were made. So for example, if I then go and say commit, okay, git commit -m. -m mean you're leaving a commit message, basically the type of change that you made. Added readme.com file, right? So when I do git status, it basically say nothing to commit, working tree screen. There's no changes that I need to make. So the first thing I'm going to do is to edit this file that I created by doing readme.com, vim.readme.com, and just enter something. This is just a dummy file. And then I press escape, colon, or WQ, which is write and quit. So when I do git status, it basically shows that, okay, this file was modified just now. Please note, I can do cat readme.com, which will output the file content. Cat is a Linux command, and Git bash basically utilize some Linux command. So instead of using cat to output the file, you can also use git diff, and git diff will basically output all of the changes that were made in the repository. But right now it's just a single repository, and you can see where, okay, this here is the current version, and then this here is the previous version. So actually, the A is the last committed version of the file, and B/readme is the current state of the file. So it basically shows a plus and mark this in green to show that, okay, this was a change. And if you notice, modified right here is red. So it used red and green to show changes, and then blue to, it indicates simple a number of lines or number of characters that were changed and so forth. So if I go now and then commit this change that I made, but instead of doing -m, for example, if I do -m added text to the file, you'll notice that it basically indicates that no changes added to commit. That's because I need to run git add first, or I can run git commit -a. So if we did git add, if we do git add, we would have to run the git add command first. For example, git add. So before I run that, I do git status. You see that, okay, this file has been modified, but it hasn't added to stage, or it hasn't been committed. So I would, the wrong way of doing this is git add dot, and if I do git status, it's show that the file has been staged, meaning it's ready to be committed. So if I do git commit -m now, and add it to add text to file. Do git state, run that command, I end up running two commands, git add and git commit. So because Git is so versatile and flexible, there are a lot of one-liners in Git. So for example, I go back and edit this file. Add more content. Do git status and, or a matter of fact, this is not, okay, sorry. Not just a dummy file. So if I do git status, show that the file run, and git diff basically shows that, okay, this was the content first, and then this was the change that was made. So instead of, so I need to save it now as a part of Git by doing the git commit. So instead of running the git add command and the git commit command, we do everything in one go by doing git commit -a, which is -a mean or append, and then -m to read the commit message, update content of file. And then when I do git status, nothing to commit. So the two commands, I actually end up doing it in one go. So you've seen Git init, Git status, and Git diff. So what I'm going to show you next is Git log. But before I do Git log, well, I'm going to show you Git log, and then I'm going to show you how to clone a repository. Also, so Git add and Git commit. So if I do Git log, it basically shows the history of all of the commits that I did. So far is tree history. But if I want to get the first commit, I do -1 and get the first commit, well, the last commit, sorry. And if I want to do like the last 2 commit -2, and it will show that. There are a lot of other commands with Git you can try. So for example, if you do git -l, it will show you a bunch of Git commands. And then each sub-command or attribute has its own help guide. So like for example, git log -l. Okay, Git log doesn't have any. I do Git Pull. Okay, so apparently on Windows, that list of command is not available, but on Linux, it's
Oshane,
available. Yes,
check your browser. It on Windows, it opens in the browser.
it happens on the browser.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, here it is. Okay, that makes sense now. So there's quite a lot of subcommand. Yeah, and a lot of these derivatives have not been utilized by a lot of developers, but yes. All right. So that's basically Git, the basic of working locally as a solo developer. But this is basically working on a single branch, and a branch is basically, imagine like a tree, and you have the stem for the tree, which is the main branch. Everything goes through the main branch or the main stem, and every changes that you need to make or like different version of the source code that you want to just tweak a bit by itself on its own, but you want to ensure that the stem is always stable. So you work on a tree or a branch, well, I mean a branch, to modify any code, beta code, or code that you're trying to develop. And then once you are finished with that, you basically merge it back into the master branch, which is the stem. So to showcase that, you can do git branch, and it will show that, okay, I have one branch called master. So if I do git, okay, I was jumping ahead to shortcut, git branch add dev. Okay, git branch. So I don't use git branch command at all. And I'll show you why I don't use git branch. So I didn't need to do git branch add. I just needed to do git branch dev. And when I do git branch, it shows that I have a dev branch. So to switch over to a branch, which I'm going to work on the code, I'm going to do git checkout dev, and then to just modify that file that I add. So firstly, I'm going to rename this file. So no. readme.md. So when I do ls to result the file, you see it, and then if I do git status, it basically shows that okay, the readme .com file has changed to the readme.md, and of course, if I do git diff, it shows that the file has been deleted and the content of that file has been deleted and a new file was created. So if I go ahead and just do git add, and please note, if you want to add a single file, you don't have to use the dot. You can use, just call the file based on the path and then just add it like that. So if I do so, it only add the change to the new file, but it hasn't added the deletion of the .com to stage as yet. So instead, I'll just run the add, and you notice that okay, it basically shows that the file has been renamed readme.com to readme.md. So next is just to commit it. Commit rename file. So the next thing I'm going to do is, remember that git diff command. I'm going to run that command, and of course, if I just run git diff like this, it won't show anything. But what if I git diff and say, oh, there's a branch called master. I'll just say master. It shows that, okay, the difference between the dev branch and the readme branch, the master branch, there was a rename from readme.com to rename to readme.md. So the next thing is, okay, to me, this is fine. It's okay. I can actually merge it in master, which is the main branch or the stem of the source code that is supposed to be stable at all times. I run git checkout master, and then I do git merge dev. Oh, my bad. Okay, so once it merge, it basically shows you one file changed, number of insert, delete, and so forth. So if I do git status, of course, it's going to be clean, git this, not this, sorry, git log. You notice something right here. So it does, oh, here it is. It does, it tracks the last commit that I did from the dev branch, which is this commit, and you notice that the head master dev. This shows that, oh, there was a commit between, well, a merger between dev and master, and this commit was actually the last thing I did on the master. So how do you know that that was like, you want to verify this? I'm actually going to jump ahead in the workshop. So you want to verify, okay, you don't remember which branch you were on last. How do you find out what you did locally? So there's a command called git refrog that will basically tell you everything that you've done. So for example, the first commit, which I initiated the repository, I added the file, did 2 commit, then I moved, created a branch and moved from the master branch to the dev branch. Then afterwards, I did a commit, and this commit basically merged the master. No. I made the change on the dev, and it basically committed on the last commit that was from master, because the dev branch reflects what master current state was. afterwards, I moved from the dev branch to the master branch. Sadly, my system is set up to do fast forwarding merging. So there are different type of merging: basic merge, and there's another merge called well, there are 4 type of merges. A basic merge, which is supposed to be Git merge, and it just do the basic merge. The other type of merge is a rebase, where it do a fast forwarding. And the difference between Git rebase fast forwarding merge versus a basic merge is that with a basic merge, a commit messages included in the history of the commit history. But with rebase, no commit history, and there's no modification of the commit history. It just add the changes from one branch, and the commit messages from one branch to another branch without creating another commit history log or log to the history to indicate that the 2 branches were merged into one, which is basically, well, the changes from one branch is merged into another. So for example, master, the dev branch, the changes from dev got merged into master. So moving on, okay, here it is. So we showed Git branch, checkout, and then there's stash. So stash is basically, for example, I'm going to create another branch, but instead of going to the dev branch, I'm going to create another branch, but I'm going to use a shortcut to create a branch and switch at the same time. So I do git checkout -b and call it dev. So this create the branch and check out to the new branch, as you can see here. So instead of running 2 commands, you run 1 command by using -b, which means branch. So I'm going to make a change to that readme file. This is a branch. Okay, but I just remember I need to do something on master that is urgent or on the dev branch. So I'm going to try to check out to the dev branch. And you notice that, okay, when I check out to the dev branch, it actually indicates, oh, switch to dev. But readme is modified on the dev branch. I don't want it to be modified on the dev branch. I only wanted to modify on the dev, but I forgot to commit it or stash it. So to ensure that your changes does not affect like another branch that you're working on, you can run a command called Git Stash. So when I run Git Stash, it basically clears the history and, well, temporarily stores the changes and put it on the side until you're ready to apply it. So when I do Git Status, you notice that the dev branch is okay. So I decided I no longer need I made some changes to this. Okay, let me just add another file, touch another file, .md. So I created another file, then I do git add, git add to add that file to that stage, and then git commit to start track that file and commit it. So git add another file, do git status, it's clean, and now I'm ready to apply the changes that I did before. So I do git stash apply, which basically apply the changes that I temporarily stored to the current state. And once I do that, I can just do a commit. Commit temporary saved data. Okay. All right. So if I go to master now, I'll then do Git merge. But remember that I said my system is set up for fast forwarding or rebasing. So instead of doing Git merge, I want to just do a rebase. Well, I'm going to manually do the rebase and show you what that command look like. So I do Git rebase, and the branch that I'm rebasing from is the dev branch. So I put dev, and it just pulls in the last set of commit and changes and put it on top of the commit message. So the last set of commit messages. So if I do Git Log, you notice that it just add this type of commit on top of this, but you're not going to see the difference between you're not going to necessarily see the difference between merge and rebase, because my system actually wasn't set is set up for rebasing. So when we switch over to using GitHub, you see the difference between a merge and a rebase. All right, so the next step is cloning a repository. So to clone a repository, you go find an online repository, or even you can actually clone a local repository. So for example, I have 3 folders right here. The folder that I just utilized, created and did all of those fancy stuff is on EPUB. So to replicate the scenario of cloning a remote repository, even when I don't have internet, what I would normally do, I'll just, well, and that repository is locally on my machine, I'll do git clone EPUB, and then call it something else like mpop. And you notice cloning into mpop. If I go ls, you see the content of lpop, cd, and Anna. So I'm just going to run one command instead of running 2 commands, to cd into mpop and run git stat git log, and well, 3 commands, and then I'm going to cd back out. So it basically run git log, and you see the logs of what's in mpop. And if you notice, this say original master, original dev, original ed, original osh. So what happened is that original is the remote repository, which is EPUB, and the master branch, the dev branch, and ed mean the latest commit. And you notice the osh dev, right? So if I go and edit a file in mpop, say another file, add some content. Okay, might as well I just navigate into mpop and done. I made a change in mpop. Now I'm going to just commit that change to mpop. Oh, and then I do git push. Push is basically you're going to, well, I'm going to reuse the same word, push the changes that you made. made to the remote repository, and that's going to be the EPUB. But it's called original, and the branch that I'm pushing is master. Okay, so if you notice this basic, wait a minute, git remote -v EPUB. Okay, so apparently there's a configuration I need to make to ensure that, okay, I can push to master, but because I don't want to make that configuration now, I'm going to just create a new branch called mdev and then push origin mdev. And there we go. So I push the changes to a branch called mdev. And so if I cd out of this folder, go to EPUB folder and then do git status, well, git log -1, you don't see the changes on master. But if I go to another branch, which is mdev, you see the mdev branch that I just pushed. And if I do git log, you see the commit that I just made, and all I need to do is check out to master and then do git merge to master from mdev, and that will merge all of the changes. So on master for EPUB, I do git log, and you see the log file. Does everyone follow thus far? I think I kind of ran through a lot in a short time. If anyone doesn't follow, you can indicate. Okay. I'm assuming everyone follows. All right. So the last thing we're going to do in this workshop is actually do something together. So there's a repository. Let me send it in the chat. There's a repository on GitHub. A repository on GitHub that we can work on together. And what we'll do is I'll ask each of you to just make some small changes to a file, like create your own file and make changes to it, and also edit this contributors.md file and just add your name to the list of contributor with your GitHub username. So what we're actually going to do is, okay, we're going to start to do something called pull requests, which basically I'm the maintainer of the repository. You as a developer, you need to merge your changes or integrate your changes inside of the repository that I have. But currently, you're not a member of or a developer of the project. So what GitHub allows you to do is to fork a repository. Hold on, why is this keep on? Fork a repository, or when you click on the edit button, it allows you to create a patch and a fork at the same time. A patch is basically if you're making a small changes to a file to just and that's it. Like for example, some grammar error you want to change or add in your name or so forth. So I recommend that each of you just either clone this repository and make the change locally, or you can just go on the GitHub repository and just make a change on the contributors MD and create a patch. So yeah. it are there anyone that's willing to participate or like want to share their screen and show what they're doing? Someone that is you know, familiar with the process. Okay, I allow share screen. Latifa, you can make a change to the contributor file.
Yeah.
I allowed you to share your screen, so you can go ahead and share. I'll stop share mine. So please note, when Latif share make a change and I merge it, I set up GitHub pages which will do auto deployment to GitHub website. So it's just static. It's a static website that, you know, changes will be shown. All right. So she go on the website, cd into the repository, and she's going to edit the contributors.md. So what command? Yeah, vim. Oh, you use nano. Okay. Oh, vim versus nano. So I think you can just add your GitHub username because I actually have your name there already, Latifa. Add it beside your name, not under. That's better. Yeah. All right. Save the file. All right. Commit the file. Well, you can just do Latifa, do the shortcut git commit because it's a modified file, so you don't need to add. You can just run git commit space -a m space in quotation added my GitHub username. All right, so if Latifa if Latifa tried to do a git push origin master, it won't allow her, and you can go ahead and try to do that because she don't have access to the repository. So to give her access, I would have to go on GitHub. Let me temporarily take over the share screen. Okay, so I would have to go on GitHub, click on settings, manage access, yikes, confirm, invite people, use team. So I'll call this is it, right? I think this is the user. So, and you notice there's a read triage,
There's
right?
there's an R missing. R-A-V-E-R-D.
R-A-V-E-R-D.
R-D.
Okay, all right, that makes sense now. All right, so when you're adding someone, you can either create a team or a group of people, and you just set the permission whether they are maintainer, admin, write, triage, or so forth. So I'll give her the right permission and add her to the repository. Otherwise, from that, I could always create a team, call this team trainers, trainees. Parent team, no parent team, create team, and I can easily add her from here as well. Invite to team, and she would receive a message on GitHub to say, oh, she's been invited to the team and so forth. Latifa, can you share back your screen? I'm going to stop share screen.
Okay, so wait.
All right, so you're supposed to see an invitation, and there it is. I think there's a check. Okay, accept invite. So I showed you two ways. One, you can just create a team and add people to the team, or you could just grant that individual permission directly to the repository. So now, if Latifa goes back, wait, someone created a pull request? All right. I'm a contributor. Okay, I think that's Glenford. Yes, Glenford created a pull request. So Latifa, you go ahead and push the changes that you've made. So go back to Git Bash.
Let me just share my entire screen. Oh, okay.
Okay, so Latifa actually pushed to master and it went through. That's because I gave permission to push directly to master. And if you go on GitHub, you see that okay, she pushed to master. There's the change. If you scroll down. Okay, let me just send you the URL. It's faster if I just send you the URL through the chat. Where's the chat? All right, I sent you the URL in the chat. So yeah, there's the change that she made. But it will build the GitHub GitHub page and display it as a static web page. So there's this auto deployment going on. So it is she go on jamaicandevelopers.github.io, and here's a web page, static web page with the change that she made. All right, so Latifa, in your command, go back to your command line.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not, okay, well. Do git checkout, sorry about that, if anyone heard that. Do git checkout, you're going to create in a new branch and going to make a change. So dash B and say, give it a name.
All right.
All right, EPUB, okay. So do Vim, Vim and Vim, the contributors file. Yeah. All right, so the change that you're going to make, instead of having the dash, you will have the parentheses around your username.
Okay.
Yes, so remove the dash and this extra space and put parentheses around your username. Your GitHub username, yeah? No, space. No, I, yeah. Go
Edit
to,
mode.
yes, space up before the R. Yeah, space that.
For some reason, that is not working with my keyboard.
Press I to the edit mode.
Oh, okay. Yes, I.
Thanks.
Yeah, space. You know, for some reason, Nano was in my head because she opened Nano first. So press escape, the escape key button, which is the, yeah. Press :W on the keyboard. You type.
While I'm pressing escape or after?
No, escape first and then let go escape. Afterwards, type :W. Enter. I think that's a capital W. Yeah, it's a command double for everything. So command double command Q. Enter. All right, so commit that change that you made and then push the branch that you're currently on.
Since I'm on a new branch, can I still use -am or do I need to add separately?
Can you still do what?
Use the shortcut.
Yes, it still can use a shortcut. Remember, the commit command is for files. And the files has already been tracked even by this branch, because the branch that you're on reflects what master is. So okay, afterwards is git push. Oh, git push origin EPUB. So with Git, you actually can
Without the setup stream?
Yeah, without the setup stream. So what the setup stream allows you to do is instead of typing git push origin EPUB, like for example, git push origin master, you can just type git push setup stream origin master. So the next time you're running git push, what will happen is that it will just push master all the current branch that you're on. So there are means by ways that Git help you to reduce the amount of keystroke that you do. And there's also a tool called Git Aliases, whereby it ridiculously reduce it even further. So for example, you can even type git g space p and it does a git push. But that's something we're not going to do in this training because this is basic. So I'm going to take over the screen now. You push the change to GitHub. So I'm going to showcase what's happening on my side. So positives, Git Training. So I think we got two, okay, one more thing. All right, I'll do it. So one thing that I forgot to tell you is to create a pull request. So to create a pull request, which you would have done, but I'm going to do it since I forgot. You click pull request, you select the branch that has the change, in this case EPUB, and you want it to merge the master. You notice that your GitHub username is here, the change that was made, and this, well, when the change was made, how much file got edited, deletion, addition, and it shows you the difference between the two files. You can also have a side-by-side difference, right? This, and it will show you the change. You notice that the parentheses is basically highlighted, and this dash with a space is highlighted. So I click create pull request, update contributors list. Click create, create pull request, and it will create a second pull request. I don't have any testing set up, but that's something that can easily be set up with GitHub Actions. In another video, I'll show how to do GitHub Action and get you guys to, you know, be involved with the, you know, setting up, as well as with setting up it with Docker and to deploy a Docker application to actual server and deploying the image to Docker Hub in one of those Docker events that I have planned upcoming. So now I have two pull requests, but both pull requests are basically the same file it's editing. So I'm going to merge the first pull request. Okay, so I'm not going to merge the first pull request as yet, because straight away it indicates, okay, there's a conflict for the pull request that Grenford did, and that's because the change that Latifa did first and pushed to master, it changed the content of the contributors.md file. So that needs to be resolved. The conflict between the two version files need to be resolved before this can be merged. But we know that merge request 2, merge request is from GitLab and pull request is from GitHub, because I use GitLab so much, I keep on saying merge request. So we know that the pull request that I did just now is based on what master is, currently is, so there's no conflict. So I'm just going to click merge. But before I do it, you notice that there's a toggle here. So if I click this, you notice squash and merge, rebase and merge, or create a merge commit. So if I click a merge commit, so the new changes basically is there in master now, and you notice that okay, the merge request right here, the commit message right here has changed, and you can see the list of commits. Where can we see that again? List of commits. If you click, okay, I think I did that too fast. You notice 9 commits right here. You can click the list of commits and it will show you all of the commits that was done. All right, so what happens now is that I need to merge the this pull request, which is what Glenford did, and it's still going to say you know, there's a conflict. So you can try to resolve it on GitHub, which does a nice comparison of the 2 files. So for example, show you what it is now, and so this is how it looked when Glenford made the change, and this is how it looked currently. So what I'm going to do is just make a quick edit right here. Mark as resolved commit. So now this should be resolved. All right, but I don't want Glenford change to basically happen as yet. So one of my favorite IDE that I use locally is VS Code. VS Code has VS Code has something called a use Markdown and have a Markdown previewer. So Markdown is a means by formatting you know, text, some syntactic text into like a HTML type of the text or web page. So I'm going to go to the contributor agreements, and you notice that okay, this file is very outdated. So this is the content of the file, and this is what it renders out to be. So I think I have git install for this. Okay, great. So Visual Studio Code basically has Git integrated, so you can use the UI and it will show you what happened with the history and so forth. I can do Git runs. Okay, I can do a pull from the repository. And you notice that it offers you to do a pull and a rebase, but I'll just do a pull. So it runs pull here. Please note I don't use the GUI at all. So this is the first time I'm actually using the GUI. Every time I have the option, GUI or command line, I go to command line. Accelerator. So something happened and it didn't get merged. So I'm actually going to switch to command line and check out what's happening. So I'm going to cd into that folder that I have Git Training. I do Git Status, Git Log. Okay, update contributor list. Okay, it actually got the changes actually. So is where Latifa, as you can notice, the author Latifa updated the username, and she also updated, did a commit to other username. And then you notice that there's a extra commit message at the top, which does state that this branch was merged from another branch. So this is what basic merge look like. So on Rebase would not create a commit message like this. It would just add all of the commit message from one branch on top of this current branch. But I'm going to create another branch. Call another dev. So another person that is on this call is Colin. So let me choose, well, Joanna was here first. So I'm going to edit the contributors file. Might as well, Joanna. Joanna Joy Gray. Oh. And then, you know, the repository is dirty. Going to do a commit that the change I made. Joy. And afterwards, I'll just push that branch. So what happened next is I'm going to create a it basically picks up that, oh, there's a new branch with a change. I'm going to click compare and create a pull request. It creates a pull request. I can merge straight, and if I click on file change, it shows basically like the change of the file. Wait, but okay, this is fine. So I can just go ahead and just click merge, but instead of clicking merge this time, I have like what, 1, 2, 3 merge commit message in this one single change, because I was doing something before. So instead of committing all of these changes into one single committing all of these changes to master, and it will create like 4 merge requests if I utilize 4 commit message if I utilize basic merge. If I use Rebase, there's 3 merge commit message that will be added to master, but I only want 1 commit message, and that's where you just squash, as in merge all of the previous commit message into one single commit message, and then add it to the commit history for the master branch. And you do that by doing squash and merge. I'll show you what the command line look like later on, if time is spare. So I'll just confirm. So when I go to master now, and then go to commit, you notice that it's saying 10 commits. So all of the commit message that was in the previous merge request, which was 3 merge requests, get merged into a single merge request. I probably should have named the merge request better. The commit message better. So if I go to my terminal now and go to master, do Git Pull. All right, so if I do a Git Pull, it will try to merge what's on in the remote on top of the changes that is done locally, and it might create a merge a commit message, an additional commit message, because it's doing a basic merge. So Git pull by default is doing a basic merge. But instead of a basic merge, I want to ensure that the history of the commit messages hasn't changed, will not change. So instead, I'm going to do a shortcut to do a rebase instead. So I do git pull -- rebase origin master, and then enter. So it does a rebase and just pull those changes. Please note, one thing I should highlight earlier, there's another command which is git fetch. And what Git Fetch does, it does something similar to pull, but instead of merging the changes or rebasing the changes on top of the changes that you have locally, it will just get the changes, and then you can decide what to do with it afterwards, whether you should merge it or not. So Git Pull command is actually Git Fetch and Git Merge combined, while Git Pull -- rebase is Git Fetch and Git rebase in one command. So to show you what I mean, for example, I'll do Git origin master. It will fetch master, but there's nothing new, and all I need to replicate the Git pull -- rebase, it's Git Git rebase origin. Origin is the remote repository, and then we say master, and it will try, but it's already up to date. Oh well, all right. Next thing is, if we do Git branch, we need to merge what Grenford did. So if we do Git branch, you notice that there's no branch. And I'm going to replicate what it would look like to do fetch without a merge by using the branch that Grenford created. So I'm going to do git fetch origin. What's the branch that Grenford created? Okay, I think I can just do git fetch origin, and it should pull all of the branch. Okay, top. Nope, it didn't pull all of the branch. I copied. Git checkout dash resolve git pull base origin, the branch that Grenford is on. Interesting. Okay, so what's happening is that Grenford actually made the change on a fork. So when he actually made a change, he did it on GitHub. So the fork is actually outside of the repository that I'm using. So that's why I wasn't able to pull the changes that Grenford did or fetch the changes. So good thing that happened. So to resolve that, to get the patch that he did, which is external to the project, I need to actually get his repository, I'm going to do git add remote add. I'm going to, before I do that, if I do git remote -v, it shows that, okay, origin, this is origin, and this is the Git repository for origin. So I need to add Glenford repository since I'm doing the change locally, even though honestly I could simply just merge it using GitHub, but because I wanted to do some additional fixes to the repository Is, I'm going to actually do git add, git remote add, call this Glen, and then paste the repository for, okay, that's not Glen for the repository. Okay, that's Glen for the repository. So I add that now. So if I do git remote, git pull rebase Glen instead of origin, I say Glen because that's the alias for the repository. Rebase Glen was the patch name, and the branch that Glen is on is called Glenford Williams patch. So when I do that, git hold on, git fetch origin Glen. Apparently I don't have any, okay, I probably don't have any requests for Glenford. So instead of debugging this, I'm going to take the easy way out because of time and just merge it using GitHub. So once that merge, as you can see, it basically, I get the changes for Glenford, and if I go to the website now, refresh, right, look like it's taking a while to show up, but you can see Joyan name here. So it's basically might be rebuilding the site to show Glenford name. So while we wait on that, I'm actually going to make another change locally. So I'm going to switch back to master, vim git log -1. The last change was made. Epoch. Okay, Glenford name is there. So I need git pull rebase origin master to get the changes from Glen. Then switch back to the branch that I was on. Resolve, clear, vim contributors. Oh, quit this file. I need to rebase on master. to get the changes on this branch because I switched to a different branch and I needed to get the changes from the master branch. So I'm going to add another person name called Cornelia Cameron. Git Commit -am added Cornelia. Git status. Now I'm going to do git push origin. Added another individual, but you notice that this basically there's a branch there already called another dev. And you can see the list of branches on GitHub by clicking on branches, and you see all of the branches that are there. And you notice that these shows how much commits one branch is behind and how much commits is ahead of another commit. So that's why I'm getting this message, because this branch is outdated. So to fix that, I'll do git okay, my Git terminal froze. Open another one. CD workspace training Git training. Increase the font for this so everyone can see. All right, Git status. All right, where was I? So if I do git pull rebase origin on, oh, I was on resolve. All right, let me actually go to git check out another branch to just resolve that. Git rebase resolve. I then do git. If I try to do git push origin, another branch should get back that said message. Okay, so now I need to just git pull rebase origin another branch, another dev. So what will happen is it just get the updates from the another branch from the remote repository by using rebase, and afterwards I do git push origin another dev, and the changes will be pushed to the another dev branch. Otherwise, from that, if I didn't want to, if everything on another branch on the remote repository it's with an outdated code and I didn't need it, I could have just said -f, which will override the branch. But I didn't do that because it's actually not a good practice. The best practice is always pull, check out if there's something needed, and yeah, and then push afterwards. Just merge, resolve, and push. So once that happens, I create a new merge pull request of another branch. And you notice that, okay, it's saying that this branch can't be merged into master. There's a conflict on the MD file. So now we are going to resolve that conflict from the command line. We can do it in VS Code as well, which is easier for a beginner. Since it's GUI, but from the command line, which you developers might most likely use, we're just going to go ahead and try to do it from the command line by just doing a Git Pull rebase, but we're rebasing on master, which is the main branch. So I personally, oh, well, there's no merge conflict. I was hoping there would be a merge conflict. So let me create a merge conflict. So I'm going to just edit this directly from Git begin daily. Make the commit. So when you do the pull now, it creates a merge config. If you do Git status, it shows that, okay, both modified. It was modified on GitHub, which is the remote repository, and it was modified locally on our system. So you can do Git diff, and it will show, okay, this is the head, which is master. With the remote repository, I added Vivian Bailey, and locally I added Cornelia. So this needs to be resolved. So if you do Git status, you notice they tell you to use GitHub board. If you don't want to, if you want to, don't bother resolve the conflict and you don't want to merge. Can you please? Okay, continuing, or Git rebase to skip it, and it will just create a merge conflict with the conflict inside of the source code, which is a bad practice because you never know what might break if you have two, a code difference there. So to resolve it, we do Git merge tool. Hopefully, I have a merge tool. I think Vim's supposed to come up. Okay, so it shows you normal merge conflicts. There is a normal merge conflict, so it's an easy conflict resolution we're going to do, and you notice that it's saying it will use Vim diff as the merge resolution tool. So when I enter, it gives me this UI in the command line. So I don't know if you can see the cursor, it's right here. So all I need to do is scroll down to this header. When I reach this line, I'll just press D twice to delete. Go to the equal sign, D twice to delete, then go to the last line and then D twice to delete. Then I click escape and then type double Q to save the file, and then the other files I'm just going to quit because I don't need to look at them since it's a simple merge. So once I say do Git status, you notice that, okay, it say modified right here, and then you notice it create a original, a copy of the modified file after the merge conflict. So if we go into the contributors, you notice the change, which it is with the fix. And if we go in the .origin, you notice, okay, it's there with the conflict. But as you can see with Git status, it shows that there's a file that has been modified and a file that has been created. We don't want any .origin in our repository because those are like backup files and we don't really want backup files in it. So to ignore these type of commits, we would need to create or add this file right here to our git ignore file, and you can see there's some files there already been ignored. So once I add it right here, save the file. Wait. The better way to do this is actually not to state the name of the file, but to do star.origin. And star is a wildcard to mean any character before the .origin. So once I save that, do git status, you notice that the file does not show up as the change need to add, but you notice that the git ignore file is there. So all I need to do is to commit okay, and then push it to wait, I can't push as it. So I commit, and when I do git status, it basically tells me that I need to run git commit, amend, or git rebase. So I'll just do git rebase just continue to state that, oh, we've resolved the file and we're just going to do some revert of the previous commit that I did, which caused the conflict with the fixes. So once that's done and I do git status, it's clean git log, you see the commit message and so forth. But what if I want to change this commit message though? Because another developer, which developer? That's where you use git commit --amd, and it will open the terminal where you can just change the commit message. Added review. And then we do git status git log, and you notice the commit message has been changed. And the last thing is just to push this to another dev, but it's still complaining because it's complaining now because we did a rebase, which changes the history of the commits. So I know that the issue is okay, but I want to ensure that if I push it to another branch, which is another branch, which is bad practice, I want to ensure that at least it's up to date with master, and that's where I do git pull rebase origin on master instead. Oh, I left out the E. Oh, no, I actually have a space. It's great. So I can just do a git push origin.f another dev and force push it to force override the outdated code. So on GitLab now, on the pull request, it's a matter of just merging. Once we merge, we can actually delete the branch directly on GitHub. It will take some time for this page to refresh, but oh, actually it's there. So refresh, you see the Vivian, you see the Grenford. So it's just waiting on the changes, the new changes with Cornelia. I know that this is actually a lot, and I didn't actually get to cover Git workflows, and we're actually on the 8 o'clock dot. And I didn't get to, do that involvement that I wanted with everyone, because there's a lot of stuff to cover. But so far, does anyone have any question, or do you understand the workflow, especially when working with branches and so forth? Any questions before I move on?
So I joined late, and I'm not sure if, like, you worked on a part where you can add a repository to an existing project. Like sometimes when I'm working on a project, I tend to create a project instead of the Git repository first, and I create a Git repository later. And I want to add the repository to the project using Git, but sometimes I'll get errors where it says that like that's something to do with the head, right? Like this branch is ahead of the other branch, so I can't really push, and I have to go to a lot of stress to sometimes I would force push it to the repository, and I have to do a lot of workarounds. But I want to know if there is a way how I can properly do this instead of all of that stress.
Well, yes, there's actually a 2 command for Git for you to do that. So there's, well, before I go in the best practice, my way of doing it, which is faster than the best practice, is to create a new branch, create a new branch with the new code that you didn't track or so forth. Then squash everything with a 1 command and do a force push. That's a lot easier. So the best practice now for tracking an existing project that might already been tracked by another Git repository is whereby you do something called a subtree. So you basically copy, like if the project exists and you copy over the code and you want to track add it to Git for tracking, you use subtree and cherry picking to you made certain changes here there. Cherry picking makes you modify a particular commit, while the other method is subtree, which is similar to Git sub modules, and that basically track a sub repository of the main repository, but you can mix subtree and cherry picking together to use the sub repository to override the main repository, and that's like 2 to 4 commands, but the command is not like a 8-character command. It's more of a 12-character to 20-character command.
Okay.
So it's easy, but it's an easy command, but to remember the command out of your head is a different story.
All right.
All right. Is there? Oh,
Well, thanks, by the way.
yeah, no problem. Just for clarity though, for others, if there's a project that hasn't been tracked by Git, or you don't have a Git repository, like for example, you saw earlier where we created a file but we weren't tracking it, and we just used Git init and started to do local development, and once we're ready to share it, we create the repository online and just push it. Existing project, if there's an existing project, for example, if you want to take this project that I'm doing and then make changes to it, you can just do a git clone. All right, let me do the git clone inside of this project. Git clone and say, actually, let me rename. Is sub git so squashing command line style is like this. You do git rebase add, I think it's like 10 commits. So you notice, okay, oh, I did that too fast. So git rebase dash add dash I mean interactive. Add is the current branch on with the latest commit, and then till.10 is the last 10 commits. Oh, we did 13 commits. All right, last 13 commits. Okay, it's not 13, 12. Okay, I guess 10 works. Oh, I know why. Git checkout master. Oh, we're on master. What was the first commit? Sorry. Okay, so to squash all of these, it will basically tell you PRESF and what each does. So instead of having all of these, you just change this. Pick is when you want to keep it. S or squash is when you want to remove it, and then it just squash into one single or whichever commit. And once you do that, it just tells you to edit the commit message, but we're just going to keep it as how it is. And when you do git log on this, you notice that, okay, it has this big long commit message, and then it has less commit message afterwards. So that's another command that's kind of underused by developers. Any other question? Guess not. All right, the person who asked the question just now, can you remind me of your name? Because I didn't quite catch your name.
Oh, my name is Colin Campbell.
Oh, Colin. All right. There's a forum website that we have, community.jamaican.devs. You can add it. You can just ask the question there or post it later, and I'll just give you the commands that you can utilize to, do what you ask about the existing repository and so forth.
Okay.
All right. So it's after 8, so I'm going to leave Git Workflow to another time. But to quickly wrap up some other things that I want to touch on. So we're keeping a virtual classroom program, which is supposed to be like it is a boot camp, a virtual boot camp, and it's a 3 to 6 month project where you actually program where you actually work on an actual project and like Git, a JavaScript, a Flutter, web, and different web development tools. We're going to actually train developers in those technology and train them to actually build real-world solutions. I'll send out information about this. We're actually looking to train 70 developers, and we have up to 15 trainers and mentors available. So it's geared towards software development, customer development, and product development, and it will be an annual virtual boot camp. when it comes on to upcoming next setup upcoming events, we have July 25th, which is a Laravel workshop to get started with Laravel. July 28th, which is next week, Tuesday, I believe, we're gearing towards having a Flutter event, and the Flutter event is going to be moderated and where the trainers are going to be from the US. We haven't fully confirmed whether they're available or not, but as closer the event gets, we'll update everyone on Meetup. And if we need to reschedule it because of the availability of the trainers, we'll update you. After that, on the 30th, which is next week's Thursday, there's a visual testing event talking about the importance of software testing, how we can automate the testing of the UI, UX, and actual customer experience. And there's two tools that we're going to demonstrate: Robot and Cypress. And on the 18th of August, we're going to have another event gearing towards career roadmap in software development. If you're interested in any of these events, they're on meetup.com and also on Jamaican Developers website. With that said, and before we close off, are there any other questions related to the upcoming events or even the virtual classroom workshop? I'll send out the invite for the virtual classroom workshop and program or / bootcamp. But is there any other question? Take that as a no. All right. With that said, thank you for attending. I hope all of you learned quite a lot. It was quite interesting. I did enjoy the little tutorials. I hope you get to use Git more often if you haven't. And it's a really good tool, really good workflow to work with other developers and individuals. And even if you're on a solo project, a project by yourself, it's really a great means of tracking your code and reverting to a previous version of the code if needs be, which is one thing I actually didn't get to showcase, how to do a revert, which is simple doing git checkout on the commit message, the commit message ID, but that's commit ID. That's something that I can showcase in another event. So with that said, again, thank you for attending. I'll see you all at the next event. Take care.
It's not right.
All right.
Bye.
Just to confirm, sorry. Will the recording for this be posted as well?
Yes, it will be posted. In fact, all of the events will be posted. The reason why the one on Tuesday hasn't been posted as yet, I'm still editing the video.
Oh, I thought I saw a link for that one.
Oh, well, okay, let me rephrase then. So the link that you saw on Meetup, that's the unedited version. So all of the videos, the unedited version will be on link Meetup, but after I finish editing the video, I'm going to post the video on YouTube.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working towards.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Take care, everyone.
You too.